It's time to pay the piper because today we are talking about the Pied Piper of Hamelin. I just love how especially fabulous he looks in this illustration. The story of the Pied Piper is a legend that dates to the Middle Ages, but it was also recorded as one of the fairy tales of Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. First, we're going to talk about the story, and then we'll get into some of the cool history and interpretation. So why is he called the Pied Piper? Because pied means multicolored cloth, which I guess would have been kind of extravagant in the Middle Ages. There are many versions of this story. The most popular is the Grimm version and also a poem by Robert Browning that gets just more specific. In the Grimm version, this dude just shows up one day and he's like, hey, I can get rid of you guys as rats, all the rats and mice in the city. There isn't even particularly a rat problem, it doesn't say. I mean, just people want to get rid of pests. The mayor says, okay, we will pay you 1,000 guilders. And he's like, cool. So the piper, who's looking quite dashing in this picture, leads all of the rats magically out of the city by playing his pipe. He leads them into a river and they all drown. So he comes back and he's like, all right, where's my money? And the mayor's like, actually, we're just gonna give you 50 instead of 1,000. And the piper is pissed, understandably so. And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna get my revenge. So on St. John and Paul's Day, the piper returns, and while all the adults are at church, he plays the music and attracts all of the children and leads all of the children of Hamelin out of town, 130 specifically, according to the Brothers Grimm. He leads them out of town into the wilderness and leads them into a mountain where they disappear inside the mountain. In some versions, he drowns them in a river like he did the rats. The happiest version is one where he just extorts the town, and once they pay him the amount of money they owe him, he brings the children back. But in most of them, he leads them into a cave in the mountains and they're never seen again. And the parents of the town weep and cry, and the lesson is pay the piper. Otherwise, he's taking your kids. Oh, and in most versions, there are some kids who get left behind, like a deaf kid gets left behind who couldn't hear the music, so yay. In the Grimm version, there's a blind kid who couldn't make his way there because he's blind, but he's able to make his way back and tell everyone what happened, basically. There's other ones where a kid is lame or on crutches or something, and he couldn't make it all the way, so he comes back and tells the story. Or there's one where, like, there's a young kid who goes back for his coat and escapes. In the Robert Browning poem version, it ends with this little hint that the children grew up and survived somewhere else, like a sort of immigration, that there's a town in Transylvania that has all of these people with these German customs and they aren't sure where they came from, but the story is they came out of a mountain. So the interesting thing about this legend is that it seems to have been based on some real historical event. The Grimm story claims this happened specifically in 1284. The earliest mention of it, though, is purportedly this stained glass window that was in a church in Hamelin in the early 1300s that later got destroyed, but this is supposedly a recreation of the stained glass window that commemorates the event. And we know because it was described in several accounts between the 14th and 17th centuries. There is no consensus on what historical event happened. The part about the rats seem to have been added later. The earliest versions are just that basically somewhere around 130 kids disappeared from the city of Hamelin around that time. Some theories is that there was some kind of natural disaster like a plague or a famine, and all of the children of the town perished for that reason. In this sense, the idea is that the piper originated as a personified form of death, like the Grim Reaper. Some theories aren't just disease, but like a landslide or a sinkhole. There are some theories of actual immigration that because of overpopulation or lack of resources, like all of the children had to go be apprenticed or indentured servants in other places, and they all had to leave the town in order to make money and survive. There's always the dancing mania that was happening during the Middle Ages, or some kind of mass hallucination that are always fun theories about why weird stuff happened to a big group of people back in the day. Like they all got LSD from moldy bread and lost their minds. I mean, that's interesting. There's also pilgrimages or the Children's Crusade, which happened in about 1212, so near the time. Now, Disney made a fun little 7-minute cartoon of this in 1933, and I've got to show you parts of it because it's so great. So in this version, there's obviously a huge plague of rats. They're even really smart using rat traps to just, oh God, that's so disgusting. The piper comes in and he's like, yo, give me the money. And they're like, okay, here you go. He does it. They even grossly come out of this dude's beard. And in this one, he leads them to like this magical cheese that instead of drowning him in a river, just disappears. So he comes back for the money. They only give him the coin and he's mad. And so he's like, you know what? I'm going to take your kids. But interestingly, all the kids are doing chores in in this town, not the adults. And so they are lured away from this backbreaking child labor. And so they go with him happily, and he ends up taking them. Oh yeah, even this stork is about to deliver these children, and the stork's like, nah, this is better. We're gonna go along with this guy. So he takes them into a mountain, just like in the other versions, and the parents are like, oh, oops. And they're mad at the mayor. But in this, when he takes them into the mountain, it's this beautiful, amazing candy land, basically. And they get to have fun and joy forever and not be exploited for labor like they apparently were. One last thing I have to mention as a theater nerd is I never think of the Pied Piper without thinking of the opening song of The Music Man. It's a rap of traveling salesmen on a train, and they're talking about how slick and smooth the Music Man is. When the man dances, certainly boys, what else? The piper pays him.
The man dances, certainly boys, what else? The piper pays him. Yes, sir.
If you're interested in another story about people being lured into a place that seems like it's paradise but might be dangerous and bad for them, you should check out Dust Spells by Andrea Lynn, my retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses or the Shoes That Were Danced to Pieces. Thanks for joining me for this horrifying story of child abduction that is still kind of fun. Next time we'll be doing a cool, grim fairy tale, 1 eyes, 2 eyes, 3 eyes. So excited to see you for that one.